Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So guys, this is going to be the World Cup Online Opens Week 10 Finals Duos Part 2. And there's gonna be like little trailers of stuff or like just little videos, so enjoy.
A dope reloading animation. I mean, come on, just look at it. We've seen a lot of competitive players opt into using the tactical assault rifle over the course of the Fortnite World Cup Online Open qualifiers. So let's hear from some of the players who qualified for the finals and get their thoughts on the TAC AR's addition to the game.
It's really good, like really good. Once you get to endgame scenarios like fifth zone and beyond, it absolutely beams. It's very viable in meta right now. Everybody's been using it.
I like it because you could actually sneak up on someone. It has this low sound, so it's hard to hear.
It has its viability due to its first shot accuracy that can make it really strong, and the fall off damage isn't as strong as it was for the silent SMG, which got vaulted.
I reckon the gun's awesome for endgame because if you've got height, that gun can really get a lot of eliminations because it's like a laser, and people endgame tend to have less HP than they would towards the early and mid game. So I think it's really strong in situations.
Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on the tactical assault rifle, and when do you like to use it? Send us your opinions using the hashtag Fortnite World Cup, and I'll see you on the battle bus, or maybe on the high ground with a TAC AR.
Fortnite fam, did I beat you in rock, paper, scissors? Hashtag Fortnite World Cup. I probably did because I'm really good at it. It's the only thing I'm good at ever. But guys, we are knee deep in the World Cup finals. Qualifier here for duos. It has been unbelievable. The European action has not disappointed, but of course we're getting ready to hop into more games. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Oceania replays, because don't forget Oceania and Asia happened overnight. So we're going to also look at Asia replays as well. I guess I should have said both. And then we're going to take a live look into Brazil, see how things are going for them. I need two casters on deck. Let's get Pookie Face. Let's get Sundown. Let's get into these games.
Thank you so much, Zeke. I'm joined here by the amazing Pookie Face, who has a great talent at ignoring high fives.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, she literally looked right at the camera and then right at me, but as Zeke just said, Oceania and Asia wrapped up last night. I stayed up, watched some of the games. I know most people didn't, but they were incredible. The last spots were there, and let's hop in, give these guys a little coverage, and celebrate just how awesome at Fortnite they are. Now, a fun fact about both these guys, 7 matches played total. That was all they ended up running through. So they were able to get the maximum amount of points through each one of them, not needing all 10. And as we talked about with the Breakaway Esports duo of Serpent and Hype, averaging a placement of 2.67 across those 7 games. That is ridiculous.
That is extremely high. Do you know what other teams are sitting at in terms of averages like that?
I mean, you really don't typically will see placements like that in a 10-game run. Like in overall, like we've seen people being those consistent in like over the course of 10 games.
Right.
But like in that spree, I think the closest we've seen is the Twins out of Oshi when they were playing more placement based and less aggro. I think they had one of the weeks up there where they were nearing 4, but sub 3 that's really, really, really good.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty incredible, like you said. And we see Hype just get the elimination on Pendragon, LOL there, just utilizing his edits there to quickly peek out, make sure that he's not leaving himself too exposed. Take a look at his partner, Serpent, who has got his own agenda of what he's doing over here. Looks like he's doing the same thing, but on the opposite side. So these guys just applying pressure all over the map.
Yeah, and one thing to note, it is a much sparser circle when you're in those very late games in terms of Oceania. Some players opting to play aggro, trying to get their games out there, will just go full send and try and burn through a couple towards the end to get into another one. But if you have good game management or the ability to just play consistently and ride it out, you can play this game all the way to conclusion and maybe snag what might be a slightly easier victory route for you if you're playing passive and defensive, which Serpent and Hype seem to have been doing so here with, I want to say, only 6 elims, but in comparison to the rest of the lobby, it's not a ton. It's good.
No, for sure. And to your point, kind of what you said about knowing, where your opponents are. Let's keep in mind that there's only 12 players left on this map right now, and only 7 duos remain. Make that 11 and 6. I spoke way too soon. Serpent secures another elimination there on Bray. But in terms of final circles, Sundown, this is not something that we see very often in these late games.
No, and it makes for interesting play because people can be more calculated, but normally you don't get as much room to operate. So now all of a sudden, Zank being in this 1-by-1 by himself, if certain Hype want to go pinch him, they absolutely will. They know this is a 2v1. They know there's no one else here, but Zank is now trying to get whatever opportunity he can to free up shots, knowing that the next elim that goes down is the top 5, and every single point matters, even if not for qualification, then for the prize money, with the prize pool being doubled in weeks 9 and 10.
Yeah, and Zank making that quick decision to just use the launch pad, kind of get out of there. He saw that there were players rushing at him, decided to go up, get the high ground, which does end up working out for him because he lays down a 35 and a 71 shot on opponents down below. Breaks a baller, which is going to be bad news for that player. He isn't going to have that additional protection anymore. But he is just trying to fire shots, methodically go through and see if he can actually get any kind of knocks or eliminations here to get that siphon, because he doesn't actually have any kind of healing, and he does take out Jimmy, so that is certainly going to help him for any kind of future eliminations or any kind of engagements here.
Yeah, and it got him into the top 5, and Goobaz actually ended up going down as well. So just getting the tags on the end of the storm as rotation does go up the mountain, the verticality being the difference there. Elimination does go over. That was the knock we had just talked about. While Replace goes through, he edits down, has nothing to catch himself, but luckily was on the edge of it. But Hype is relentless on the high ground, and now they're going to start working the top down. When we started on board with them, they had 4 elims, now worked it all the way up to 8. There is 9 and 10, and they're looking to close this match out, and this is where every point matters. Getting the wall replaced, and Slaya goes down. Well done from Hype and Serpent. 11 elims in the victory royale.
Well done from them indeed. Now, unfortunate to see Slayo go down. I know that he is a favorite from a lot of people, but you know what? Second place, not too bad, Sundown.
No, it was a good effort, but like you said, once kind of those two get rolling, when they have the momentum, they are able to just run with it. We've seen it before in the semifinals, and when they finally converted it over, sometimes that's all it takes. If you're able to put the pieces together on the right day in the finals, that's what ends up mattering. Now we're on board here with Surf Junkie and Evanix.
And take a look at their loadout they have right now. 2 Rift to Goes, 2 Shadow Bombs. I'd be interested to see if they've split the Shadow Bombs. Duos will typically do that, you know, give 2 and 2 so each partner has some kind of mobility in their inventory. They do only take up 1 slot, and you can carry a whole bunch of them. So we've seen time and time again players utilizing those to make rotations, make sure they're safe heading into the next zone, and they are going to actually opt to rift out there so that they can make that early rotation. They did have quite a long way to go, but they are going to look to see if they can possibly sneak on some high ground here.
Yeah, the thing is there, well, it seems like it is a little bit of an early rift. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, majority of the players were in their path in order to get to the rotation. So when you have 2 rifts and 2 extra shadow bombs as well as a ton of the shields, you can afford to be a little more aggro there, and they're actually able to now get priority on the zone and pick up an elim as well. But can they get the mats and then disengage out with whatever upgrades they so desire?
Again, Surf Junkie taking a lot of damage there, so he is going to have to really focus on getting healed up before they, you know, make the next rotation or before they take another engagement, because you certainly do not want your duos partner going down or falling to anyone at this stage of the game. That certainly can spell disaster. But we are going to take a look here at Serpent and Hype. We saw a little bit of their gameplay in the last game. They look as though they're playing very, very well together today. And you know, let's just see what they can pull out right now.
Yeah, so these were actually, so the last game we watched was their second to last game, and this was their final game of the evening. So that's kind of why it ended up being such a thinner lobby. It was a lot of the players trying to get through and use the last of the games, but Serpent and Hype saying, that's fine, we'll play it for a victory royale. And right now, inside the first placement threshold, already on 7 elims for this match. So that's 10 points so far coming out from this game. That's what we talk about when we say maximizing efficiency in every single one of your lobbies. If you're making it into the final placement threshold, getting a couple of those victory royales and getting elims as well, no, it makes it very difficult for everyone else in the lobby to even keep pace with you.
Yeah, and you know, that we've seen time and time again has worked out for so many players, you know, really just being very aggressive, just going full send. It doesn't matter what game you're in, that can always bode well. He does get the knockdown on oh my gosh, Surf Junkie and Evanix just fall to him completely, no chance, and we've seen them play very strong in the past, so that is very surprising. But Serpent does pick up the Rift to go and 2 extra Shadow Bombs, so now the tables have turned, Sundown. He has got all of the mobility he needs.
They just have so much control over this lobby now with the high ground. They can see nobody else is even remotely close to it. There's the far side of the lobby. You will see Lunar and Alpha trying to put some shots on it. Prince Charming comes sailing in, but there was a Shadow Bomb directly in the box behind it. I don't know if Alpha realized that. Gets high ground taken away from him second. Boxed in, no traps coming out. Does finally put one down, and Kaiser can't avoid the damage there. 15 health on it. Needs to throw the Chug Splash at his feet or get the edit out. One of the two has to happen very shortly. 15 HP, was able to get back up to the high ground. Is going to opt to just pop the minis and then go for the Chug Splashes.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it wouldn't have really mattered too much what he chose to do, because you are only getting 20 HP effectively from those Chug Splashes for each one that you throw down. He did wait for his partner to join him, though, because there is that area of effect with the Chug Splashes. You get 20 health, your teammate gets 20 health, so not everybody gets 20 health.
Well, that's tend to be why you see it more run in duos, but also just love having shields all over the place. But now Serpent and Hype going aggro, and we've seen it putting the dual combat shotguns to work, focusing on that with the loadout and making sure they're shooting together. But right now, Serpent has been chipped out a little bit. However, they're into the top 10 in terms of the team. So 5 placement points been picked up so far, and look at that. Prince Charming gets taken down. No fairy tale ending for you there. It's just back to the lobby, and considering this is the last match, that's the end of your World Cup run, as Serpent and Hype able to clean that up. There's another one going over, up to 12 in all the resources from it, and they saw that Shadow Form player. Look at him just running.
What is happening? Sundown. He was just, you know what, I think at that point he was just trying to do whatever he could to stay alive. Unfortunately, Hype and Serpent met him there, but Serpent does actually go down, and he is going to fall to the storm. It is going to be completely up to Hype now to carry the rest of this game. Each of them having 7 eliminations, sitting at 125 points. Do you think he's going to be able to pull out the victory royale? We're going to have to find out.
Now, they are on the 14 elims, has the proximity launcher. That's 70 on both of them right there. Will get the AoE, gets the 70 again, so he knows that player is on 40. Drops down to Ices, catches himself with the waterfall as he drops. Will pick that up. Siphon comes over too. Will he be able to get enough mats? He's sitting on 3, 2, now out of materials. It's a 2v2, v1, v1. Edit comes out, needs to pick up this Elam. Storm isn't his favorite player. Covers himself with metal. Edit goes forward. Uncle Andy, say goodnight. Nothing left for you there. Hype finds the shot right there. Gets a good 80+ tick. Can he find another one as he's trying to do all of the work by himself right now? Serpent's been taken down. He's sitting on 9. Elam's getting some help from the high ground. 73 with the first shot. Getting walled out. Needs to find a way back in the zone, and he does. Lupius goes down 1, 2. Can he find the third? Needs to get the conversion over, and he does. Lupius goes down. It's a 2v1. Can he find it?
Oh, no.
Alpha Barbucks cleans it up, but second place and 15+ Elams coming out from there. Good effort from Lunar and Barbucks, but Hype and Serpent showing why they got that top spot. It was really well played.
Unbelievable, the decision making and mechanically how gifted you have to be able to drop down, waterfall down, pull out your shotgun, and catch yourself so quick. Cat-like reflexes. Too bad Kitty Plays isn't here to comment on those.
And making sure that it was the player he had ticked twice with that proximity grenade. While it only being 70 damage, it's basically guaranteed if the player isn't boxed themselves up. But now we're going to hop on over to the Asia region while we see what was up with the Trigger QQ boys of the Vietnamese region, or the Vietnam country, playing on the Asia region. Apologies there, as we're on board here with Ricky and Joysa. Some good shots coming out from that tactical assault rifle so far. 12 duos remaining, 23 players left as we're in the half in, half out.
Yeah, and we are seeing a little bit of a trend here so far with these games, Sundown. You know, not very many players left alive, but I think it's a great change of pace, and you can really see how the players adapt their play style to kind of, you know, counteract the fact that there aren't going to be very many people in the lobby. Ricky just taking down Seal completely as he was trying to rotate and use the launch pad to get out of there. So good on him with that elimination. That will be his first one of the game. His partner, Jazia, is sitting on 2. They are going to use the Stinks to actually try to pressure this player above them, see if they can get him to come down, but he just gets out of there and says, you know what? That one stunk. I'm not interested.
Yeah, Cushy having no reason to do that. And you also noticed that Joyce threw the stink directly on top of Ricky while he was pressuring. No friendly fire going on there. As you can see, Hooten and Peach on the low ground. But there's the qualifiers, Flame and Unique over on the side. And one thing I went through and ended up reviewing a lot of their matches, they had some hairy situations early, but pretty much every single early game, they got completely uncontested Dusty Divot and walked out with just max everything. Like, it was nuts and just getting a ton of rotation, but right here you can see right now, sitting on 2 elims, have a decent amount of loot, good amount of mats, and prime area on the zone. So convert that into one onto Theo, getting a good knock with the help of the Storm, up to 66 points as we're inside that placement threshold. Number 2, top 10 ticking over.
Yeah, and I feel like Dusty Divot is actually one of those points of interest where you can drop and get a ton of resources, all the trees being there. You know, some would argue that, you know, you're at a bit of a disadvantage because you are essentially, you know, not to pun, but you are in a divot. But you know what? If you can use those trees for cover, that whole area completely uncontested and for yourselves, you are going to come out of there sitting pretty. So we are taking a look here. They are rotating over. We'll see how he builds up here, if he tries to take high ground, or it looks like he might actually be making a play for that.
Yeah, he was looking to find it over on the side, but instead just opted to box himself up, realizes he has the RPG and wants to start sending everyone cascading down, but opts not to fire it. So interesting decision there. I actually thought he would have sent it down. Instead turns towards the player underneath him, and him and Ricky are going to try and isolate that player in order to convert it into an elim. Now he's going to look skyward. I figure he would want to reset that before they got too established. Nope. Instead, he's going to say, my high ground now. Perfectly timed launch pad to get it right at that maximum deploy height. And now, all of a sudden, Joyza and Ricky on the high ground with a whole bunch of resources.
And 12 rockets in their RPG. We've seen this time and time again. Explosives are extremely strong, but they are even stronger when they are raining down on players from ultimate high ground. These players do not have to worry at all about anything that is happening above or below them. They need to be looking up at Jazia and his teammate, because they are actually going to go on a little bit of a tear here. Let's see if they can get any more eliminations. They've already picked up one, but you can see him. Jazia's ready. He's got that RPG out, Sundown.
He has it out. He's trying to make sure it's loaded. Stinks continue going up. That looks like it's his teammates since he's just walking through that. Does hit top 5 now. Ricky has taken a solid amount of damage, but continues tossing down Stinks towards the low ground, but he hasn't found anything with it. So far, they've only converted this into 1, and Ricky actually got knocked Flame all of a sudden. Flame and Unique picked up 2 there, and they're into the top 3 with a 2v1v1. Joyce on the high ground. Dorothy isolated in front of him. They're going to try and pinch. RPG comes down, but Joyce commits himself, falling down after the RPG, taking 80+ damage. So now rifts himself up to the sky, but this is going to give Flame and Unique all of the pace, all of the pressure. Dorothy gets pushed down. Unique does get chipped out, so he needs to be careful. Joyce, recognizing this, knows he needs to go now before it's isolated, but there's the maximum deploy height. Might as well just be hanging out, clips his head, finally touches his feet, and gets blasted for it. Flame and Unique, we hopped on board with them. They had 2 elims. They converted into a 7 elim victory royale for 17 points, Spooky.
Very well done coming out of those 2. And Jazzy made a little bit of a mistake there. He did miss that floor that was built out, but unfortunately for him, he didn't have much of a choice. He didn't have any mats left, so he had to rift. That was literally his only play. Fortunately, it didn't work out, but let's hop right into another game from the Asian servers. We are looking at the Trigger Boys again. They're sitting at 9 eliminations already this game. So, you know, let's kind of see if they're able to pull something off here.
And again, one thing I highly recommend, if you have the ability to go back and watch these guys' VODs, because I know a lot of people, they like to talk about the 0 ping wall takers and going somewhere else to play on. These are players playing from Southeast Asia, playing from Vietnam, being able to execute together, finding a strategy that works for them, team firing and coordinating. It was very impressive to watch. And there's honestly a couple of situations in the early and mid game where it felt like they really shouldn't have got out of, and they had really cool disengages. So highly recommend checking out these 2 players in particular if you want someone who might feel a little more accessible in terms of going over, and it's something that, like, hey, I can do this, because I know there's sometimes when I watch VODs of like Benji Fishy or Clicks or Dubs, and it's like, well, I'm never going to try that ever, so.
Never say never, son. Believe in yourself.
Some of these kids, some of the guys going to the Fortnite World Cup final are infinitely better than I could ever hope to be mechanically, and honestly have shown why they are that good. Like, these guys are the best of the best and just do some mechanical stuff that hasn't been seen before. But that is not the only way to be successful in this game. There's plenty of paths in Fortnite Battle Royale to get there and to get to the top.
Yeah, I mean, you can be mechanically amazing. You know, you can have smart rotations. That's what I love about the Battle Royale genre as a whole. There's just so many different working parts. And I feel as though, you know, there are some duos that do some things really great and others that do other things even better. So that's why it's always so exciting to me to be spectating duos and being able to be here and casting these games, just so that you can see how these duos work together, how they play to their strengths. They are going to be taking, that one gets me every time. I had to quickly look down into the inventory there to make sure he had the redeploy. I was like, what are you doing, Unique? Please.
I still get a little bit of vertigo anytime. Even if I know they have it, it's just like I'm desperately afraid of heights. But we're into the top 10 now as Unique and Flame. Now you can see high utility. Again, 2-gun loadout, but using as much of the utility. And RRQ hero Kappa just gets ripped. 4-shot out from under him, and they catch him before he even hits the ground. Up to 91 points so far from Unique and Flame, and just so well done.
Yeah, and you can see there, just, you know, they started shooting at the wall and then both immediately switched down to the floor. Smart plays coming out of them as always. Here we have Met. I'm going to take a stab at that name. I know that, thank goodness it's me casting here and not Zeke, because...
he would have panicked and probably fell out of his chair. But
yeah,
now, Met taking shots from the high ground, looking down here, trying to find what he can. Gets GCBM, GGK with a perfectly placed rocket, and now he's going to look to punish that backside of the storm. That was the conversion over to the knock he'd already gotten, so nothing else to do in there. As Harukio trying to put shots out towards the rest of the lobby, they find Buddha Fishy. So Benji Fishy transcending regions now, all the way over in Asia. People trying to get that luck, but not going to be enough, because the SV duo currently running up on the high ground onto 7 elims, looking for number 8 with that rocket. Got to be careful when you edit. However, Harakiro goes down.
Yeah, he just completely dropped down there, possibly to make it easier for his partner to possibly get him. But you know, it isn't going to matter because the zone is moving, so he is going to completely fall. Here we have the Trigger boys. Actually, my apologies. It's only Unique still alive in this match. He has used a Shadow Bomb to position himself perfectly for the next rotation. Is building up, kind of taking mid-ground at this point. There are only 7 players. Make that 6 left in this lobby, 5 duos. So this is almost a solo game at this point.
Yeah, and now he got the other duo knocked, so it is a straight-up solo game. If he can convert on that, it will go through, and he's into the top 5. So a huge play despite Flame going down. Conversion does go through, and he finds Kosa as well. So now straight-up solos. 9 elims on Unique. It's a 1v1, and this was for all the money. Unique wanted it to be enough. He was sitting there. This was their second to last game. They needed to clutch out. They needed every single point possible. And will he be able to find it? We're watching the left side of the screen right now as Unique disengages down towards the bottom. Matt up on the high ground again as he's trying to run him around and find an angle. One thing note, only has 6 mats and only has the redeploy, which is a top-down mechanic, so he wants to sneak a shot on him. He knows he has to save mats. Hello!
He jumped the rocket!
What? What?
Sundown!
That's ridiculous!
He jumped the rocket!
It went up onto the low ground, just being a tile of a square away. Gets the first shot with the combat. Now he has the pressure. He finds the zone. He has to go forward, though, because here's the change in elevation. He finds the first shot. Can he find the second? And he does! He finds it! 7 HP left. Gets the siphon to tick over. Unique puts it on his back. 24 points. 14 eliminations and the victory royale. Look at the fossil. Look at the plays. The Vietnamese duo doing it. They said, we don't need 0 ping. We don't need to take your walls. We'll do it with style. We'll do it with execution, and we'll do it with coordination. But now we're hopping over back into live games. This isn't stuff from last night or early this morning, depending on where you live. This is from Brazil. We're going all the way down to South America. And